All right, welcome back, everyone, to the Stage Ready podcast. It's episode 5, and we're here today with Jourdanne Lee and Aisha Mian. But I want to let all of you know that 65% of the people watching are not subscribed to the Wildebeest Fitness channel, and that's absolutely crazy. It takes 2 seconds to hit the subscribe button. Do that, and it'll be absolutely awesome. And another thing, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any more of these awesome interviews. What are you doing? Hit those 2 things and it will help you out a lot.
And let's get into this week's episode. And don't forget to hit that damn subscribe button.
All right, so we're back with the Stage Ready podcast. We had some technical issues on our side. All our sound kind of went out for a long time, but we kind of brought it back. So we're rolling with it. We took last week off because we met Sam in person, and I thought that was absolutely awesome. It was a lot of fun. And, we had a lot of fun, and then Sam went back, and she went the weekend in Las Vegas. And did you end up getting hammered yesterday, Sam?
No, I don't do that.
You sure?
I went to
about some of the stories you told us about. You get pretty crazy.
I do not. I just had bad luck. But no, I went to this video game bar in Las Vegas called Player One, which is my go-to bar here in Vegas, and literally, it's all kind of video games you can think of, from Call of Duty to Guitar Hero, pinball, DDR, everything. And no, I did not get wasted.
If you say so.
Whatever.
Jourdanne, if you didn't know, my coach is Terrence Ruffin, and I interviewed him about a month and a half ago. And after the interview, I was talking with him about like some people that I should talk to, and he recommended the both of you. So that's why we brought both of you on together, because we thought it'd be a lot of fun. And when I put out the fan questions for today's interview, he didn't even ask a question. So I feel like if the next time you see him, you should probably have some words with him, and he's probably gonna have some words with me after seeing this. But
we'll get on him.
Yeah. But I'm really excited to start this interview. I've been waiting for this for a long time. We scheduled this quite a while ago, but it's finally here. It's finally happening, and I think we should just get started. What do you all think?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, no problem. So I like starting off the interviews about hearing about my guest origin stories. So do you mind telling us about your origin story, what your childhood was like and what led you to competing and getting into this whole fitness industry?
Sure, I can go first. So actually, I'm from Toronto, Canada, originally, and I am classically trained as a gymnast. And then when I kind of grew out of gymnastics height, I moved to volleyball, and I played volleyball right through until college. I was definitely seeded to go to school to play more Division I schools, Division II schools, lower level Division I schools, because I wasn't tall enough to really be super competitive playing volleyball in D1. So I had some D2 opportunities to play volleyball, but I decided to be a full-time student instead. And then I went on an academic scholarship to GSU, Georgia State University. But previous to then, doing gymnastics, back in high school, I actually tore my ACL and meniscus. And years and years and years of playing volleyball, my knee just couldn't take the jumping anymore. So I needed something to stay in shape. And that's kind of one of the reasons why I picked up lifting. Because I needed something stationary that didn't have a lot of jumping, that would be protective on my joints. And kind of through that time, I lost my brother, and the lifting kind of just became this coping mechanism. So I was doing it to stay in shape. And then it also turned into this like escape and safe haven for me after my brother was murdered. And then it just flourished into this career, fast forward, that I'm in now. So that's like the high level Spark Notes version. But it's definitely been a ride, and before I actually started coaching full time, I worked in business technology. I worked on the product side, managing our Microsoft relationship. And that just really took a toll on me from a mental perspective. And last November at the San Antonio Classic, I actually passed out. I blacked out from stress on stage at a seminar in front of everyone.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that was my red flag that I needed to leave my career in corporate and coach full time. Prior to that, I was actually coaching for about 2.5 years and working my corporate job at the same time and competing. Mm-hmm. And I was like, this is my sign. I gotta leave. So I left this past January. Now I'm fully focused on my coaching and competing, which is amazing because I've never had the opportunity to fully focus on fitness. So I'm really excited to see kind of how things unfold and how the finished product ends up this year when I'm on stage, because before it was corporate work, clients, and prep, and now it's just fully fitness. So I'm really interested to see how that's gonna translate on stage. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited to see you get back on stage. I think it's gonna be really cool.
So
but I kind of want to go back to the whole school thing. Were you like a grade A student? Like, were you really good at school?
No, so I was one of those kids that I was like, this is boring and pointless, and I don't want to be here. So 2 years of high school was just like a struggle. I missed 27 business classes. There was this one class. I was in grade 10. And I missed 27 classes because I just did not want to go. I did not want to be there. And I was just like, I could be using my time like way better instead of sitting in this classroom. That was when I was in Canada. And then when I knew that I had to get it together to go to university, that's when I decided to come back to the States and leave Canada, because where I'm from in Toronto, there's just so much to do. And there are way too many distractions. So I had to leave the distractions and kind of self-isolate. So I did, and I did my last year of high school in North Carolina, and they wouldn't transfer any of my Canadian credits. So they made me do all core classes. So for both semesters, I was doing all science classes and all math classes just to graduate, which I maintained like a 3.5 GPA, but I just blew the SAT. So I did the SAT 3 or 4 times. Because in Canada, we don't like the standardized testing in Canada, at least back in my day, is not the same as the SAT. It's very, very, very different. So like my mind would just like explode. Like I just couldn't like get it together. And like the final time I took it, I got a decent enough score and, ended up going to university on an academic scholarship. So my core GPA from just like my high school classes saved me. And then that last score on the very final SAT saved me. So, but then like once I got into college, I was fine because I knew it was so close and it was a means to an end. And then I ended up graduating early because I wanted out of there. I was like, get me out of here.
You did it smart.
Yeah. So I graduated early, and that's when I started that corporate job that nearly killed me. So, yeah.
So like we were talking about your origin story and basically like you and your leading up to competing, but I want to know more into depth about like your competing resume.
Okay. So my competing resume, okay, from the very beginning. Okay. So I started competing in 2015 and I did 3 shows. The 4th show that I was seated to do was back then, it was called Team Universe, Team U, now it's just Universe. And 2 weeks before the show, I was going through the fine print of the I guess like the registration form or whatever to register for my classes, and it read, you must be a US citizen to compete. At the time, I was not a US citizen. I was just a green card holder. All I had was my Canadian citizenship, so I had to pull out of the show, and I was like already like physically ready to go, flights booked, everything. So I just pulled out of the show and I quit competing for 2 years. Like I was so crushed because I had a really, really good shot at, you know, doing well. And I was really, really, really thrown off guard and just like really hurt. And I was like, forget this. I'm never coming back ever again. I'm done with the stage. I'm done with competing. And I took 2 years, so the rest of 2015 and 2016, and I still trained with intensity because training is always going to be a passion of mine. And I still counted macros. And through that time, I made a lot of progress. I put on a lot of muscle during that time. So in 2017, I was like, oh, I'm curious to see what a prep is like again. Let me just, you know, really button up the macros, bump up the cardio, and like do some carb cycling. And I prepped myself into my first show back, which was here in Atlanta. And it was the Atlantic, I can't remember the full name of the show, but it was a show here in Atlanta, and I won the overall. And I was like, okay, all right, we've got a little bit of momentum. And 10 days later, I decided to do North Americans. And the reason why North Americans was important was because anybody in North America could do that show. So as a Canadian citizen, I had the opportunity to do that show. And it was my only shot until a year later, which would be the next North American. So I knew that I had to pull it together, and I had to drop about like 7 pounds between, you know, that overall win and North American for me to be in like any sort of national condition. So ended up making some changes and got in good enough condition to compete on the national stage. And I won my class and my pro status. So that was my 5th show ever in my first national show. Then fast forward to like 25 plus pro shows later. My first win was in Sacramento, Sacramento Pro 2018 in November. And in 2019, I competed a lot because that was the year you had to maintain your points for your Olympia qualification. And I struggled. I was coming in with my package all over the place. Like it was really hard to nail down because I had been competing so much prior and I needed rest. But I, you know, had this thing where like I wanted to get in front of different judges still, and I didn't really care about rest, and it really didn't sink in that I had to take a proper off season. So I continued competing back to back, and my placing suffered. Like I went from like consistent 2nd, 3rd, 1st in pro shows to like barely first call outs and then getting bumped into the second call outs.
Is that where you... Oh, sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, is that where you got like 16th at the Olympia?
Yeah, so fast forward to the Olympia, my Olympia debut, I ended up maintaining my spot in points to still qualify. And once I got to the Olympia, I was just tiny. I was like maybe 120 pounds at 5'7".
Wow.
Yeah, because and I'm natural. So I didn't have anything to hold on to the muscle. You know what I mean? When you're natural, all you got is food, all you got is sleep, all you got is weights, right? So by the end of that run, I was just tiny, and I couldn't compete. Like I was not competitive on the Olympia stage. And I mean, like, I knew it. And after the Olympia, where I placed 16th or last, I took 12 months off. So all of 2020, I was like, nope, not getting back on stage until I know that I made the improvements and I put on quality muscle and I can come back and really be competitive. And during that off season, I gained like 25 or 30 pounds. Damn. Yeah. And then came back.
Was that your first Olympia?
Yeah, that was my first Olympia.
Still a huge accomplishment, just, you know.
Totally.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is like, you know, I kept hearing the feedback from the judges. You need more muscle. You need to come in fuller. And then when I saw what the top 5 looked like, at the Olympia, then I was like, oh, it clicked. And I was like, now I know what it means. Because when you have, like, in bikini, what they want curves, but they want just enough conditioning and separation, not overly conditioned. They don't want too many lines, but just enough.
Yeah.
And when you have more muscle, it creates MERVs, as I like to call it, muscle curves. So you you don't have to come down as low in body fat to show your muscle, because you already have enough muscle that's pushing through that skin, giving that beautiful shape. And I just, by then I didn't have it, but the girls in the top 5, they had that muscle density that allowed them to not come in as lean. So there was still that beautiful curvature.
So tight. Yeah.
But still tight. You know what I mean? And that's when I was like, my ass needs to sit down, and I need to just eat, and I need to lift. And that's what I did for 12 months. Yeah. So then fast forward to my return back to stage a year later. I did the very last minute. I did the Chicago Pro, because it was here in Atlanta, and it was an opportunity. It wasn't planned, but let's just say it was an opportunity. I knew that I wasn't conditioned enough. I still had to come down about 5 or 6 pounds, because I wasn't planning to compete until 4 weeks later. But my coach and I, we pulled the trigger, we dropped the food, we upped the cardio. It nearly killed me, but we were able to present a decent package at the Chicago Pro, and I placed 4th.
Nice.
And then 4 weeks later, went to San Antonio Pro, San Antonio Classic, which was the same show that I passed out at, and placed 2nd. And then a week later, went to Iron Games and won, and got my 2021 Olympia qualification.
Sweet.
So here we are. I've been prepping for about like 6 weeks now. And the reason why we started was so we could do it very, 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 very slowly, and then reverse in. So what I learned was, after Iron Games, I truly peaked about 4 weeks after the show, because I had been reversing. So my metabolism was up, and I was eating, and my body just sucked up the food, and my muscles just were full and popped, and like my lines were all there. And we learned that is the best
magic.
That's the best methodology for me. So we started slow and steady, and then we're just gonna reverse in
and basically recreate what you did for those those shows, like leading into Iron Games, and so that's awesome.
So that's it in a nutshell.
All right, so I want to go back to the origin story. So now, Aisha, it's your time to shine. You want to tell everyone about like your childhood and what led you into fitness?
Yeah, of course. It's similar to Jourdanne's. Honestly, I don't have much athletic background. I just did track in high school. Didn't really take anything serious. Did it for a little while. It was around college. So in Canada, it goes till grade 11, and then you go straight into college. And it's mandatory to do that here. In college is when I started finding myself, and it was a very stressful time. My father was very sick. I don't know. Things at home was not the greatest. We didn't live in like the best area either in Montreal. So I remember wanting to go to the gym, but I was too young to sign up. I was like 15 maybe. But I remember when I turned 18, I went into the gym, and at that time I was like working a part-time job at McDonald's and at the gym just to pay for school and everything. And I bought myself a birthday present, which was a gym membership, because I don't know, I couldn't afford therapy, so I wanted to feel good and look good. So I went to the gym instead. And that's honestly where I found my escape. It was a time, and I remember even lying to people about where I'm going after school because I didn't want nobody to find me, just so I could be alone. And that was my time where like I felt like I was bettering myself. Before the competitions, before anything, it was the weights where I found my passion for fitness. So yeah, I bought myself a gym membership on my 18th birthday. For 2 years though, I didn't go because I was so intimidated and I didn't know what I was doing. I think afterwards, when I hired a trainer and a coach, that's when I started taking things more seriously, and everything started clicking. Everything made sense. So I was like, oh, you got to eat before going to the gym so you don't pass out. Oh, you got to have meals. That's how, it just made sense after I hired an expert. And I met so many great people with the same type of mindset. I found like in high school, I didn't really relate to anybody. Just because of maybe I was maturing at a different rate than everybody else. My focus was never, on, I don't know what high school problems. And honestly, I never felt like I related to anybody in high school. And I felt like once I hit the gym, and I found people who had goals, who, wanted more than, I don't know, just a regular job, is where I found like I fit in the most.
I kind of relate. I kind of relate to that because, but like we don't live in the greatest part of our state, and like it's like a smaller house that we live in, and our families had like their share of health issues that we've overcome. But like back then, it really took a toll on me. And the thing that's crazy that I can't believe is that you had to be like 18 to join a gym in Canada. Because
I don't know if it was that particular one, but I remember going to like 3 gyms around my area, and I wasn't gonna go very far because I didn't have like a car. It was all walking distance, right? So I remember going, and they were refusing me. They said, at least you need somebody to sign. And I asked my mom if she could sign for me. Honestly, she just didn't have the time. She was working 2 jobs. So there wasn't anybody really there to sign for me. But I waited till I turned 18, and that was it. It was done. I bought myself like the whole year. They're like, oh, do you want to pay monthly? I'm like, no, give me the whole year. But yeah, I didn't even use it for the whole year. I went back when I was 20 because I was so intimidated. I was like looking at other people and these girls with like amazing bodies. I couldn't even curl 10 pounds. I was like, okay, fuck this. I'm going home. What was I thinking? And then
honestly, yeah, a lot of people say that. A lot of girls say that. They say I have a gym membership, but I don't know what to do, so I'm so terrified to go in there. Like a lot of people say that in the beginning.
Too, they're very intimidating, even though they were telling me, like, they're coming up to me and saying, oh, do you need help with this? I didn't want to ask for help because I don't know. I was okay. Yeah. So I was just saying that the gym was where I found my escape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You kind of mentioned something though. You were saying that we were talking about like why you didn't go for 2 years, and the first when you really made a comeback was when you were 20. But you said something about not just the weights being intimidated, but you said guys were hitting on you.
Yeah. Yes. Well, no, they weren't hitting, but like everybody was very helpful. But I was so shy to ask for help or even accept help. I don't know. It was just so new to me. I got scared, and I didn't want to do it. And then when I came back, I decided to come back. But this time I felt like, okay, I'm going to hire somebody. I finally accepted help and I hired a trainer, and she was actually here from Australia, and she was the one that introduced me to competing. And she was, I don't know, she just turned my whole perspective around, and she helped me through everything. Helped me with my nutrition. She broke down. She was very patient with me as well. She broke down everything that I needed to know. She knew the work ethic was there. She knew my mindset was right, and she just brought that out of me. And that's what opened the doors up.
Yeah.
Nice.
Now, Sam, you brought up a good topic that I kind of want to discuss, and that's like how when you to go to the gym, like how often are like guys going up to you and like hitting on you and like kind of like being weird towards you? Like, does that happen a lot? Like
Or
every
just
time?
staring.
Yeah.
The stare, like, are you asking me how is it weird?
Well, either this is like a new discussion point for everyone.
Okay. Honestly, I don't know. Now I'm kind of so used to it that I'm like, no, it's okay. You know what? I don't need help. But in the beginning, for sure, it was weird. I don't know. I felt uncomfortable, and I was a very shy person. It took me a while to. Now I consider myself to be like extroverted because I know who I am, and I'm very comfortable around big, large crowds. But when I was younger, I was introverted, and I found when I was a teen. When I was a kid, I was very extroverted. I was out there. But when I was in my teens, you know, everything is very new. Your body's changing. When you're in high school, you don't know who your friends are, who aren't your friends. You're just trying to find yourself, and that's when I became a little bit introverted. But then afterwards, like I said, when I hit college, it was all good.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's the best.
You start finding your people.
Exactly. I think like anybody from high school, they'll always come up to me and they'll always be like, "Oh, you changed," and I'm like, "Yeah."
You were just ahead of your time.
Yeah.
But what about you, Jourdanne? Do people in the gym like act weird towards you, or like guys being like staring or hitting on you in the gym? Does that ever happen to you?
Yeah. Now, I think now they're more intimidated than anything else.
Good.
Before, when I was like, didn't have as much muscle, I think I was more approachable. But now it's a little bit different because I have more muscle. I'm lifting heavier. Definitely more intense training. My focus has grown a lot. So it's definitely like a lot of staring. There's like one brave one every now and then that'll come up to me, but they find you on social media and they're hella creepy on social media. So if they don't have the guts enough to approach you in person, then they'll do it behind the keyboard.
Yep, they'll be in your DMs later.
Yeah, and but I mean, I always try to be polite. It's because you don't know someone's background or what they're going through or their story. True. However, us as women, we should always be guarded. We should always be very protective of ourselves and aware of our surroundings. But I'm always polite. You don't know someone's mental health. You know, you could be mean to someone and then something bad happens outside of the gym. So I try to, be cordial and, reciprocate small conversation, not very long, because I go to the gym to train. I don't go to like record myself working out or make friends or chat. I'm in, I'm out. I want to come home. I want to shower. I want to eat. Yeah. So it does happen, but kind of like, I treat it the same way outside of the gym as well, because it happens outside of the gym, and I just try to keep it short and simple and keep it moving.
Question: have you ever had a gym stalker, like somebody who knew your gym time and would like purposely try and show up at that time?
I'm sure.
So weird.
Luckily, no. I joined an all girls gym because it was so peaceful. So no, unless there was a girl stalker, but I didn't really pay attention.
It's not that you know of.
Yeah. Now, Sam, I know that you were in Las Vegas for a while, and now you're in California, and now you're back in Vegas, and you're probably gonna go back to California. So, like, is it different anywhere where you are, or is it like kind of the same in those gyms that you go to?
It is different because in California where my mom lives, it's a small town and it's like people in small towns have like, not saying everybody, but like they have a small town mentality versus I feel like in Vegas, it's more open-minded and I feel like you see more of fitness people. So it's like everybody kind of minds their own business. Everybody's doing their own thing. Like nobody, I feel like when I was training in Vegas, no, people are more respectful about it versus when I'm training in California, everybody's like, if I go to, like a commercial gym, everybody just stares and it's kind of awkward or asks me a million questions. And I'm just like, I miss Vegas.
Yeah. Now, like I feel like yeah, you get like the weird people in the gyms and in person, but I think more of it comes maybe from like the online thing and like the social media. And that's what I want to like talk about next was like the like modeling on Instagram and like for you, like do you ever receive like any like fit shaming or anything like that? Because I was listening to one of like my favorite like fitness people. His name is Lex Griffin, and he was talking about on one of his podcasts on how like people will be in the comments and they'll be like fit shaming women for looking like too good and perfect. Does that ever happen to either of you?
Every
Yeah.
now and then. Go ahead, Aisha. Sorry, go ahead.
No, of course it does. Of course. Every now and then there will be a comment. They'll say, you know, you're a little bit too muscular, you're too lean, or there's always somebody out there that's going to comment on the way you look. But that's not something that we can control.
True.
You know, they'll always accuse you of different things too, being on steroids, taking too much, you know, just everything. Of course, it comes, I find with social media, every time you post, you have to kind of expect to receive a comment that you didn't ask for. So yeah, for sure, I've gone through it, but it hasn't really affected me in any way. It's just kind of like in through one ear, out the other, all the time. Yeah.
You get an Instagram troll every now and then. That's just wildly mean or highly inappropriate. But for the most part, I've had a pretty supportive group of people that have followed along my journey. I hate to call them fans. I really do. I prefer to call them, you know, just people that are supportive of my journey. And you have some hardcore lifers, man, that just love you and really admire you, and that's something that's cool to see. So I would say I definitely get more support and love on social media versus the icky stuff.
Good. I have noticed, I feel like maybe it's just my personal account, but like I feel like the trolls have died down as of like 3 years ago, where I feel like they were out there, they were more aggressive. I mean,
yeah, I think Instagram's gotten a handle on the fake accounts.
Got it.
For sure. And the trash, because of the growing mental, well, not growing because it's always been very, very, very relevant, but the mental health issues coming out of social media and stuff that's becoming more public. I feel that the social media powers have finally stepped in to do what they can to decrease all of the negative comments and meanness, so that, you know, the youngers, as I call them, the younger generations aren't as affected.
Yeah.
You know, because that stuff, that stuff really, really, really goes a long way. You know, those words really, really, really change somebody's life. So I feel like, you know, that whole challenge has made them really wake up and get their act together on cleaning up the nonsense on social media.
Yeah. Now, I do want to ask both of you ladies this question. What made you guys, I mean, I know you guys were both in the fitness before you decided to compete, but what made you want to choose bodybuilding? Like, it's such a male-dominated sport. Like, what made you say, I'm going to do this? Bodybuilding's the answer.
For me, it was a challenge and a test to see how I can manipulate my body through food and training. And honestly, I was really, really intrigued when I first started lifting and I saw how things developed just with food and lifts. And I was like, this is like really cool. This is so awesome. And it's like, I'm just like a ever going science experiment. And it's so rewarding to see things change year after year. Like going through a prep and an off season always blows my mind. And it's even cooler because I get to do it with my athletes too. And I literally get to spend 6 to 8 months just like reverse dieting them and building muscle, and then spending, I don't know, 18 to 12 weeks prepping them. And just every single part about that just gets me so excited and so amped. Like every pound dropped, every new line, you know, just seeing them like blossom and flourish. It just intrigues me. I love every single thing about it.
You're like the ultimate mama bear. I love it.
Oh yeah, 100%. Oh my gosh. It's so much more than just like the body. It's the mind and the soul. And I focus a lot on like mental and emotional health with my athletes. That comes first. That is the foundation, because if your mental and your emotional is not in a good place, your body will not respond. And if your body does respond, it's not going to have that same pop and it's not going to have that same freshness, you know? And there's nothing, because it happened to me for a long time, like all 2019 when I was competing. Yeah, I was in shape, but I didn't stand out. I didn't have that, like, really stand out, because I didn't have that, like, that pop and that glimmer. Because, like, mentally, like, my mind was gone, you know? So that is so important to me. And literally, like, with the drop of cortisol levels, which is the stress hormone, somebody reduces that, and then you see their body start responding, where they stop going from 6 hours to sleep and start getting 8 hours to sleep. 8 hours of sleep. Then you see their digestion improve, their performance improve, their metabolism improve, and they start dropping. So like all those little things, it just excites me. And it's fun to have a job that excites me, because I worked a job for a long time that meant nothing to me.
Stressed you out.
It was so stressful. Like it meant absolutely nothing to me. So like choosing bodybuilding, it's not just about me. It's about my athletes too, and giving back to the community as a collective, and like making a difference in regard to showing people in the industry that you can prep in a healthy way. You can do it naturally and be successful, or you can do it the other way and be successful. That's fine. But, you know, you can achieve your goals and have balance and not feel like you're a prisoner to your body, or a prisoner to the scale, or a prisoner to food and all that good stuff. Like I don't let my athletes step on the scale more than one time a week.
Good.
I'm like,
Because
don't do
people
it.
get obsessed with the scale.
It encourages negative behaviors with the scale, because like if you're fluctuating 1 or 2 pounds, like that's not a big deal. It could be water, it could be like, you know, you haven't gone to the bathroom, it could be a little bit of sodium. So I'm like, just keep it once a week, try to do it the same time every week, fasted of course, keep it very consistent. That's the marker that we need to go by. You know?
That's like the same thing that I do with Terrence. Like he'll just have me do the scale once a week, just for like a check-in. But what I wanted to ask you was, like, between the loss of your brother and between like the crappy job that you had, has bodybuilding been like your best outlet that you've like ever had for like this? And it's like your best like kind of like therapy, just go in and crush a session and get on stage and just really like help clean out you?
Yeah. So when my brother, when he first left, as I prefer to say, I would go to the gym and I'd spend like way more time than I need to. Like I only spend like an hour actually lifting, but I would spend like 2 hours in the gym just because it was a getaway. And like I would just cry while I was lifting the weights. Like I didn't even care if people were around. Like I would just break down. But I would still like keep going and keep challenging myself and keep pushing through. And one thing I kept consistent through my grieving process was training. Even though there were that moments where I just sobbed through a lift and I'd fight through it. And what literally happened from a physical perspective is the stronger that I got, physically was, the stronger I was becoming mentally through the grieving process.
Yeah.
And I just fed off of that and fed off of that and fed off of that, you know, and I just kept going. And, you know, those, what do they call it? Newbie gains. those newbie gains, like the first 2-3 years, you know, going through the grieving process, like that really set my foundation to actually have some sort of physique to eat. Because yeah, I kind of had an athletic body, but I didn't have like enough muscle to like really be competitive, you know? So the lifting was 1,000,000% a coping mechanism. And then when I started working that corporate job, I couldn't wait to get off of work because I just wanted to go to the gym and release, you know?
Yeah.
So like it is 100% therapy and an escape and a coping mechanism. And I, you know, I tell my athletes that are going through stuff, I'm like, this is a lifestyle, and like counting your macros and going to the gym is just a box you have to check. You just show up, and I guarantee you'll be fighting yourself on the way to the gym, but once you get in the gym and you finish that lift, you won't regret that you did the lift.
Yeah.
You'll be
Yeah.
happy that you did the lift. So just get there. Just get there. Don't sit in the car and hide. Like, park, get out, go in, start. It may take you 10 minutes to get into it, 20 minutes, whatever. Just go. Just do it. And you're going to feel better, because getting, you know, those endorphins going and getting that pump, it's going to help you through whatever it is that you're doing. And sometimes, and it doesn't always happen immediately. For some people, it takes a little bit longer. And those are the times when you're really going through stuff and you don't want to. And the things that you have to do are the last things that you want to do on earth. But when you go and you take care of your responsibilities through that pain, that's what builds character. And that's what makes you better and great. So if you can imagine, when you're still taking care of your responsibilities, when you're in a dark place, how you are going to feel when you're taking care of your responsibilities when you're in a good place. And that's that light at the end of the tunnel, and that's the silver lining. You just have to keep going.
Yeah,
So.
I couldn't agree with you more. Like, for me, like, going to the gym is like my therapy kind of thing. I don't really like talking with other people about my problems. I kind of am like my own like problem solver, and I like going to the gym just to get a lot better. And like, there are so many days where I feel like I don't want to go. I just don't want to do this. But then my dad will drag me into the car, and then when I get there and I do that first exercise, it like sparks a fire, and it just goes from there. And it really just makes you so much happier that you went there. Yeah, and you know, like, for me, like, going to the gym, it all started when I was around like that 10 to 11-year-old range, when my mom had her stroke, and it was like a very serious thing that happened, and I wanted just to go to the gym and just really solve all these problems that I had. And then not too long ago, like 2 or 3 years later, my dad got into a big depression, and the gym was a huge help for him. And now he's so much happier. Like, going to the gym really changed him, and it's just absolutely awesome. But enough about me. I want to hear Aisha's and like, what are all your thoughts on this?
No, the gym is definitely, I feel like, I feel like a lot of people find their coping mechanism at the gym. As for why I started competing, I'm quite artistic. I've always loved performing, even as a kid. I never took anything seriously, but we'd always have, in school, we'd always have concerts, talent shows. Orals was why I even passed any class. So I found that the stage was where I was rebuilding my confidence. A lot of the things that I dealt with as a teen, once I got older and hit my 20s, that's the stages where I started building it back up. And a lot like what Jourdanne said. Mentally, you know, it's mentally, you can't do anything without having the right mindset and being mentally in the right place, because she's absolutely right. Your body will not respond if you're not mentally stable. So that's what I found in competing. It's where I felt the most comfortable is in front of a large crowd. So yeah, that's honestly why I started. It kind of tied everything in together. Fitness, being in front of a large crowd, reaching as many people as possible too. That's where I started. Honestly, networking, that's where people found me on social media or even in person. And that's where I built most of my relationships, was through competing and on the stage. Yes. So, no, it's honestly helped. And I was doing modeling before that, just freelance modeling. And I still do it now. And it flourished even more, because now it's so much more dynamic. Like all my shots, it's like something you wouldn't see normally. It's a fit girl who's doing high-end modeling, I guess. So yeah, like I still get booked up for some, local brands. They'll still want to put me on the face of their company, because you don't see a fit girl every day. And now I feel like nowadays we're trying to push beauty standards, I find. So there's so much out there. But yeah, competing really did open up those doors.
Yeah, you brought up a topic that was kind of like the next thing that we had in mind. But do you both mind if we like pull up your Instagram and can take a look at it? Because the next thing I want to talk about is like the transformations that both of you have gone through. Because
oh God,
I for one am like a
I
huge
feel like
fan.
I reversed a little bit. We've been in lockdown for a little bit.
Because I'm a huge fan of transformations. If you two didn't know, like
You'll see
I had an eating disorder that I just
phases of.
Oh, I had an eating disorder that I overcame, and I was 100 pounds in my freshman year of high school, and now I'm just about finished with my my second year of high school, and I just hit 150 the other day, and I just love the whole transformation.
Okay.
Yeah, it
Wow.
was pretty crazy. Yeah, I had such a problem with it.
Oh my
But
God.
How did you overcome that?
Yeah.
it was such a hard thing because I was a power lifter before I did the bodybuilding. I started bodybuilding back in August last year, and like I never knew that food was such an important thing, and I thought it'd be fine if I ate like once or twice a day, and that was my mindset, and that's what I like went through. And there would be times, and I just like hated eating. I hated the whole thing. I would like hide my food. I would throw it away whenever I got the chance, and I just had such a bad problem with it. And then I guess like I met Stan Efferding, and he gave us a whole seminar of like a whole speech about like the nutrition and eating and knowing to eat that you needed to get bigger, and it like clicked with me. And I went home that night, and I just started eating the steaks, like you said, the steak and rice and everything like that. And it's crazy. It just clicked, and it went from there. And I realized that I needed to eat in order to grow. So as much as I hated eating, I just shoved it down, and I just kept doing that. And I remember like times where I'd just keep eating, and like I would be like throwing up after, because I didn't like it at all. I just hated food basically. And I overcame this about last year, uh, just because I was so used to like shoving the food down basically. And now it's like a daily practice of just eating the 6 meals a day, going off the diet that I have now with Terrence, and just really eating everything. And when I first started with Terrence, I was around like that 3,000 calorie mark. And like that, I feel like that was the most I've ever eaten in a day when I first started working with Terrence, because I don't know if I've ever done that before. And I was like, I was pretty nervous going into it, but like from there, like to now, like just last week, he upped it to 3,500 calories. And I'm used to it now, but it's like so much food that I have to be eating. But I'm not like the same anymore where I'm throwing my stuff away. I'm eating it, and it's not like causing that big of a problem that I had. So I'm super happy of myself that I was able to overcome all this and really do the stuff I love.
Well, we are so proud of you, and that is awesome. Congratulations. That's a big accomplishment.
Yeah, it was a big thing to overcome for me. But going to Aisha's transformation, look
Oh,
at that
gosh.
crazy back right there.
That's actually like when I first started lifting. I think I was probably 6 months in, because I only got Instagram 2017. And then I started, yeah. Oh gosh, can you guys take that away? Oh my,
Do you
that's my
mind
first
telling
show.
us about this show?
Yeah, so that was my first figure show. That's when I switched from bikini to figure. And oh my gosh, I'm looking at this video. Yeah, it was a big show for me because I don't know, I just wanted something a little bit more challenging than bikini. I found I have a very fast metabolism, so when I was doing bikini, I didn't find it very challenging. And at that time, bikini was a lot more different than it is now. Now bikini is so much more polished. There's girls with muscle. Like Jourdanne was saying, they look like they actually lift. Before, during 2017, they're much more softer. And I didn't feel like I fit into the category as much. And I really did love figure so much that I wanted to do it. And this was probably my greatest accomplishment. So I took first in my class and overall qualified for nationals. And when I did nationals, I won my class, made it to the overall, and I think I placed second in the overall. Yes. And yeah, it's been such a great journey ever since.
Now, from like that moment to where you are now, how do you personally feel like you've changed?
How do I personally feel? I feel like I've grown so much. I feel like in the beginning it was all about, you know, the aesthetic part of fitness. So putting on size, I was so focused on uh, making sure that I was lean enough. Now I feel like I've learned more about the business of fitness. So how to monetize, you know, how to make a living off of it. And I'm still learning. I'm still learning as I go, but meeting so many people and seeing where they're at and seeing that, okay, they've actually made a living off of this makes it feel possible. So I
Yeah.
feel like that's how much I changed. It's becoming more wise, more knowledgeable, and
Yeah.
gaining so many life skills that you wouldn't learn through a book or through school.
Yeah. Now, taking a look at Jourdanne, what was this? About a 10 years difference? 1 decade? Yeah, that's what it says. 10-year difference. You mind telling us about this, Jourdanne?
Okay, so the left photo, I was vegan. I was doing a lot of running. I thought I wanted to do a marathon until my hips and my knees were like, no, you don't. And then fast forward to the right, that's 10 years in of lifting and 20 plus competitions. That was just coming out of my off season. So, you know, a lot has changed, you know, career changes, relationship changes, just a lot more mental growth. You know, with the physical growth, it's definitely been accompanied with mental growth. And I'm just, you know, such a different person now. You know, I get this, like, I can't describe the feeling that I get sometimes when I go down memory lane and I look at photos, because whenever I do that, I always go into how I felt during that time of my life. and it's just so interesting. It's so interesting to experience that, because I'm obviously older now, and it's just, I know a lot more. And when I was younger, I thought I knew it all. And now I'm like, no, honey, you knew nothing. So yeah, it's just interesting how much the mind evolves with the body, you know? So, okay, this photo was my third show ever. I think I said that. Was it?
Second?
My third show. Yeah, my third show or second show ever in the red suit. And the blue suit was my pro win last November at Iron Games. So lots of changes there. Even the poses, even the bikini poses are different. Like that red suit, that's called the A pose. And the blue suit, that's like the mainstream bikini pose now.
I just absolutely love the whole transformation thing, that because it just relates to me a lot, and I love seeing like how people change through themselves, and I want to thank you both for sharing that. But
I'm back.
Well, thank you for having us on and sharing our stories with you on this beautiful.
Oh, this isn't the end. Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you.
Good.
I was like, well, I missed all that.
Oh,
You
no.
already want to leave. But all right, Sam, what do you got?
It's random. Sorry, my camera just switched on me. But anyways, so now that it's working, ladies, I do want to ask you guys. So when it comes to prep, what was your most difficult? Do you find dieting is like your most difficult part of it, or do you feel like training?
Neither. So for me, we really work hard in the off season to get my calories up super high.
Mm-hmm.
So when it's time to cut, my body is responding with the slightest changes.
Love that.
Now it does obviously, naturally it's going to get more difficult when you're lean, just because you have less energy. But for the majority of my preps, for the beginning, like up until about like 5 to 6 weeks out, I'm feeling good. Strength is still there, energy is still decent. The challenge though is traveling back to back while on prep. So as a coach, and I also manage all of our sponsorships and our events for Fit Body Fusion. I'm literally on the road all the time. And like in May, that's why it took so long to get on, because May I was not home like all this month. I've literally been on the road since March. So from just kind of like an energy perspective, just being around a lot of moving pieces and being very social all the time, that part can get difficult while prepping. And it's not about being a people person or not. It's just like when you're just like go and you have to be on and you have to make sure things are on pace and organized, and you're entertaining and building relationships and stuff like that. And then plus my check-ins with my athletes and being a support system for them, you tend to forget about yourself.
I want to ask, so you've done back-to-back shows. So peak week for you, doing back-to-back peak weeks, did you ever find that difficult, or did you find your body getting tired and not responding as each peak week you were going through, or?
No, because I reversed in every one, which helped.
Did you ever do one like 1 week after the other? Oh, wow.
Yeah. So once my metabolism's going, it's just like off, and I have to feed it to keep up with it. So the back-to-back peak weeks weren't too tough.
Okay.
I would just say the back-to-back travel and prepping could be a little bit hairy sometimes, especially when you're trying to get started.
Yeah.
In my experience, starting your prep is the most difficult. Getting started, getting that momentum for me, and then once I have that momentum, then it's just flowing and going. So if I'm traveling when I'm beginning prep, that could be a little bit dicey.
Got it.
But once I'm lean, it's all good. And then if my body's not responding, then I hang it up and I go warm the bench for a bit.
Yeah, I know that Sunny Andrews, the wellness competitor, did that. She did like couple shows three shows back to back, and she just got qualified to the Olympia. And she said that like she was like mentally fatigued, and she ended up like taking a day off of training when she was going into one of the shows, just because that she was like beaten mentally, and she just was like kind of like drained. So yeah,
especially with wellness, having to train lower body, like, I don't know, 5 times a week, I would guess you're training at that level. That's the biggest body part, your lower, and you're training, should be training compound for your glutes and your hamstrings, quads. So yeah, that's mentally taxing. And you got to stay in shape. You got to stay conditioned. You're probably doing cardio. You know, everybody's food's going to be different, kind of just dependent on their metabolism. But I mean, I don't blame her. Sometimes you got to do that. But taking that rest is actually going to be more beneficial than trying to push through when you're tired, because your body's telling you something. And you know, whether it's inflammation or you just need to replenish your energy levels, I always advise and recommend and support that my athletes prioritize that rest rather than pushing through that exhaustion, because there's fatigue, there's tiredness, and there's exhaustion. Once you get to that exhaustion and you're just like not recovering, then it's going to do more harm going to
your
the
body
gym.
fights you.
And then you can risk injury at that point. And that's one of the things that as a coach you should always try and prevent with your athletes is injury. So it's always better to be safe.
What about you, Aisha? Oops.
No, it's 100% what Jourdanne said. I don't think that exercising or dieting is hard at all. Getting started, yes, a little bit challenging, but it doesn't take that long, personally, to get into it, because I'll plan my shows in advance, and once my mind is set on something, I'm going after it. But yes, the first 2 weeks, I would say, is when I'm like, oh my God. And it's the same thing. My coach will up my calories, where when I start cutting, it responds well. My body will respond well. So yeah, I would say the beginning is a little bit hard. But once you start and your head's in the game, there's nothing that's gonna stop you. And it's the traveling. So say if the show is not local, that's the hard part. It's getting to the show is the hard part, because you just want to get up there, you want to be there. You know, you're so done with the weeks of dieting, the weeks of exercising, that you're so ready to be up on stage and showcase everything you've worked for. Yeah.
Now, a thing that I'm curious about, like when you're finished after a show, like what's like your like go-to food that you go to?
Oreos. Oreos. Oh my God. People call me. People know about my Oreo obsession. I'll have like fried Oreos. I remember, because I'll be given a refeed every now and then too during prep. I'll just finish like a whole box of Oreos. I love Oreos. Yeah.
Oreos are good.
Fruit, anything that's hydrating or Oreos. There's like no balance after
Water and Oreos.
Yeah. Watermelon and Oreos.
Watermelon. Yeah, watermelon's good. I always go for my water first. I'm like, let's just drink as much water as possible. And not that I pull water hard, but like on show day, I sip. So I'm naturally going to be thirsty. But I always want salmon, some sort of veggie, and like mashed potatoes. And
what?
Every time. Yeah, I want something that I didn't cook. I'm not a sugar bug. That's the thing.
Oh, see, okay.
I don't crave sugar. I just want to eat like mashed potatoes and a protein and a veggie that I didn't prepare, that I didn't heat up in a microwave at the hotel. Just give me the food. Yeah, I'm like all about it. I rather eat like good, rich food than sugar. That's me.
I get that because like after a show, for some reason, I crave a steak. So like a nice seasoned steak. But I still, like, once I'm done at the restaurant, I want my Oreos and I want my Rice Krispie treats and I want all that stuff also.
Yeah. I like if somebody orders dessert, of course I'll partake. I learned the hard way about bringing treats to shows and stuff. I don't even do it anymore. It's a recipe for a disaster after.
It's true.
And I've had my fair share of mistakes post show, and it's not something that I ever want to go through again. So I don't bring any stuff. I just go to the restaurant after and have my meal, and usually that Sunday after 2 I won't track. I'll just spend it with my family and eat and just keep it balanced, and then Monday either get back on it if I have a show coming up or start reverse dieting. So I'm probably not the most fun person to ask that question.
I couldn't remember who it was, but I was listening to a podcast and it's bugging me that I can't remember who it was. But they were saying like after they did a show, they went to a restaurant and the guy ordered just a chicken salad, and just after the show.
That doesn't surprise me. I like to have a salad too, like a side salad or something. And the reason for me is because when I travel, I don't travel with veggies. Veggies just don't travel well. It's gross.
They get soggy.
It's just not good. And then also, too, you want to limit like the amount of gassiness and bloating too.
True.
When you're going to compete in 24 or 48 hours. So by the time you are able to eat, you just want something fresh and hydrating, as Aisha said, with a crunch. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that does not surprise me that he ordered a chicken salad. It really does not surprise me, because we're literally eating chicken, potatoes, steak, rice, almonds or cashews, like the whole freaking rice cakes. Oh my gosh. I remember after one show, I was like, I don't want to ever see a rice cake again, because sometimes that's just like the easiest carb source, the easiest to carb up with, because you don't have to weigh them.
I think I don't.
They travel easy.
Like I don't even think I can eat them anymore. Rice cakes are like I'm so done with them.
But
and they have like all these different flavors.
Canada has the best rice cakes. The caramel chocolate chip ones.
Ketchup.
Wait, caramel chocolate chips. I just heard caramel. I'm like, oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. And then you said chocolate chips. I'm like, where can I get those?
They have the mini chocolate chips. They are so good. When we get off, you should Google it.
I'm gonna Google it.
It's so good. I have ketchup chips. Those are pretty bomb too. Those are
Did
good.
you say ketchup chips?
Yeah. Ketchup
They're
chips.
So good.
Yep.
Yeah.
What?
Like ketchup. When you go to the theaters here, they have ketchup popcorn. They're so good.
I can't even.
Yeah.
You sold me on the caramel chocolate chip, but I don't know.
We put ketchup on stuff.
Yeah.
The ketchup chips, they're like, you know, grapes and grape flavor, like grape flavored, like grape pop. In Canada, we don't say soda, we say pop. Yeah. But like grape soda or like tomato sauce is different than, it tastes different than like a tomato. So like ketchup chips don't taste like Heinz ketchup. Yes, they taste like ketchup-y, but it's like it's a different vibe. It's really, really good.
I mean, I'm always down to try anything.
Vinegar chips.
Yeah, I can't even picture that. When I talked with Chris Bumstead, he'll put ketchup on everything that he eats. Like no matter what the food is, he'll just put ketchup on it.
That's like a Canadian thing to do.
Yeah.
Ketchup on omelets is like the biggest, the most popular thing to do.
Yeah. My favorite Canadian salty crunchy though are Crispers. Crispers are my favorite. Barbecue Crispers, rice and vinegar Crispers, all dressed. Ranch, so good. So good. Yeah.
Now since both of you are from Canada, what do you think of poutine? I've had that once, I think. and I'm surprised none of you chose that as like your meal after.
Well, Aisha lives in the poutine mecca, so please, the floor is yours.
I do. I live in Quebec. It's a Quebecois food. It's a dish. It's so good. But it's so good. It's gravy. I don't know if like your viewers know what it is. It's French fries, gravy, and cheese. But around
Cheese
here,
curds.
they
Yeah.
they add like meat on it, sour cream,
Yeah.
you know, green onions. It's so good. If anybody visits Canada,
Now,
they need
this
to try.
explains-
Specifically in Montreal, they need to try poutine.
Yeah, I remember going to a restaurant. I don't remember when it was, but I saw it on the menu, and it was under the appetizer section or the starter section. So I was like, yeah, I'll just try this because I'm a huge fan of like trying new things. So when I didn't know what it was at the time, so I just ordered it, and it came out, and it was like the French fries with everything on it, and there was some meat in there, and I was like, what the heck is this? And then I tried it, and it was so good. It was such a good thing to eat.
Poutine with ketchup on it and black pepper too.
Yeah.
Now you're pushing it.
So I used to be a server.
Gravy on it.
And one time I had this table ask me to get French fries, gravy, cheese, and I don't even know what poutine looks like. Like I just didn't even know what that was. And now it makes all sense in the world. I'm like, oh, okay. At the time when I put it together, I was like, this is crazy. And now you're saying you add ketchup to that? What?
Oh yeah, no, so good.
Really?
Yeah.
I
Really
might
good.
try it maybe one day.
Well, no, if you try it, you have to go to Canada to do it.
Okay. So don't make a concoction here in like Vegas.
No, because the gravy is like, it's different. It's
country gravy or brown gravy? I'm guessing country.
not
No?
country, brown.
Oh,
But
what?
it's brown, but it's like different. And then they don't use just cheese; they use mozzarella curds. So it's like the round curds,
Uh-huh.
and then it melts and it's like chunky. Oh my god, it's so good.
Jourdanne,
That's not like, huh?
Jourdanne, I just gotta say you're kind of talking with a lost cause because she didn't know where Ottawa was. So
That's you know what? That's okay. Ottawa's not that popular in Canada. It's not that
Okay,
popular.
yeah, it's fine as long as you know Montreal, Toronto, Vancouver.
Vancouver,
And I do. Okay.
You're good.
I was
Yeah.
like, Ottawa, what? But so are you gonna talk about food?
Oh no, go ahead.
I want to kind of like pull away from the whole food question for a second. So I want to talk about, I'm going to use mine as an example to like, but what's the least thing you hate about competing? Like for me, I hate tanning. I hate the whole getting ready and being sticky and standing there and holding these Actually, I have had some great conversations with ladies tanning butt naked, but it's still at the whole process of being sticky. I hate it.
Cold, like, okay, so there's two, so that you can get sprayed or you can do pro tan, do it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Getting sprayed, the room is so cold, that part, and like when they first like spray you, worst. Even when you do it yourself, because the solution just holds cold because like whatever it's made with, and when that pad goes on your back and it's freezing, that is literally the worst. But after being sprayed for some time and then using pro tan, do it yourself, I prefer the pro tan because you can rinse, you can adjust your tan if you mess up, and you're not at the mercy of the tanning company and when they're there. With pro tan, you can do it yourself in the comfort of your hotel room if you're not comfortable with being in front of people in the nude. And then also, doing it in your hotel room, you could like dry off with a blow dryer.
It's true.
And warm up a little bit quicker. But I really like the idea of being able to build your tan and rinse your tan if it goes green. And you're on your own time versus having to stress out about going to your tan appointment.
And something Will doesn't know. So another reason why I hate the whole tanning thing is because you can't shower. And I feel so gross. You get sweaty. So like you were saying that you can rinse off. That's such an amazing feeling of knowing that you can wash your armpits.
Yeah. So with the do it yourself on that Friday night before your last base coat, you rinse. So
Yeah.
you're not going to your show stink.
Mhm.
I mean, your hotel room should be super freezing anyways, because it helps you stay tight. But yeah, and there's like people say like don't use deodorant the whole week. That's a pile of crap. You use deodorant up until you get your first coat of tan on. So
I couldn't. Mm-mm.
I know.
I was talking with the UK people, the UK bodybuilders like James Hollingshead and Jamie the Giant, and they were saying like after they get tan and they go lay on the white sheets, they like wake up in the morning and they'll be like orange.
Yeah,
So
so
you bring your own sheets.
here in the States, you'll get charged like $300, $400, $500
Mhm.
if you mess up. Shameless plug, you can go on Amazon.com and you can get like a line, like a sleep liner.
Mhm.
And it literally like it's a liner that goes in your bed on top of the sheets, and like it covers you so you don't have to mess up the sheets. It's like $30. Best ever. But yeah, no, here in the States, if you mess up the hotel sheets,
Mhm.
they will charge you out the wazoo.
Yeah. So I usually bring my own pillowcase and my own like black sheet, and then just try and lay on that.
Yeah.
Now, the last thing I kind of want to talk about before we get into like the fan questions, I was talking with Melissa Bumstead and Courtney King, and I asked them if they had like any funny stories or moments when they were backstage. So I was wondering if you had like any funny moments backstage or stories that you could tell us about, or just any drama or anything like that.
Dive in.
Oh boy. Drama.
Well, if you want to hear Melissa's story, she was backstage just
this is
getting ready,
good.
and before she walked out, she pooped her pants. Yeah.
She said on live, so yeah.
Yeah, she
Wait.
said it on the podcast.
How, I'm not even going to get into the details of that or asking her questions, but wow, she's very courageous for sharing that.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So do you have any embarrassing, weird things happen backstage or right before you stepped on stage or seen something?
So one of my favorite stage photos ever, it was 2018 Phoenix. I had like a little bit of like a nipple slip, but it wasn't like full. It wasn't like full. It was like the areola like came up to say hi. And whenever someone's like, "What's your favorite stage photo?" That one is literally my favorite, just because like the face I'm making, and luckily the tan kind of like blends, so you can't tell. But I mean, I'm telling the public now, so if like you're really lucky, you're like,
Nip slip.
yeah, so I mean, I wasn't like really embarrassed. I was just like, oh, well, there's that. And that happened. So yeah, just make sure your bikini is covering the goods.
Yep. Aisha, what about you?
No, I don't have any. Yeah, I don't have any embarrassing or crazy stories, but when I'm backstage, people do recognize me from social media, and they'll be like, "Oh, you're a lot smaller," because I'm 5'1", and people think I'm like 5'4", 5'6", and I'm like, "Oh my God, you're so small," and I'm like, "Are you in a bikini?" And I'm like wearing oversized clothes, so it's always so funny. When people see me in person, they're like, "Oh my God, you're not that big," and I'm like, "No, I'm not." I'm all an illusion. But that's the craziest that I've gotten backstage. It's always like, "Oh, that's you." So
now,
yeah, people don't recognize. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the camera like adds height to people.
It does. They thought I was a lot taller.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought,
They'll always just be so surprised. They'll be like, or they'll call me by like my Instagram name. And they'll just be like, "Oh, you're Aisha M Fit," and I'm like, "You could just call me Aisha." Yeah, that's bad.
Yeah, no,
but
I noticed
crazy.
that.
Nothing crazy.
People go by Instagram handles a lot. And I just
think
it's so
a lot. Yeah, it's very funny.
Like, Hammy. I'm like, yep.
Right.
Now, just one last thing before the fan questions. I wanted to talk with this real quick. Jourdanne, I know you're doing the whole Fit Body seminars. Do you want to tell everyone a little bit about that and how they went?
Yeah, of course. So we just had our first annual Arizona Athlete Summit not this weekend, but last weekend in Phoenix. And we had just about around like 200 people come out, and it was amazing. It was so amazing to see everybody come and learn. We had JM Mannion,
Nice.
Jim Mannion, come and photograph the event. We had Sandy, who is just an absolute angel, come and donate her time to go through, what the judges are looking for on stage. We had our Olympians on the panel. We did a Q&A for about an hour and a half. And we addressed some things that a lot of people have in regard to, the stage and prep and, their journey. We also did posing demonstrations, which was really nice. We had a posing breakout, and then right after the posing breakout, we did a mock show. And this was really cool because all the things that the people or our athletes that attended learned just posing previously, they were able to do it in the mock show. And I was on the panel, Sandy, Jamie DeBernard, a couple others were on the panel, and it just felt really good to give back to the community. It was a free event. We did not charge people to come. And, that's what we're all about with Fit Body Fusion. We're all about community and teaching people, and we're all about belonging and uplifting our athletes to be the best they could be, no matter where they are in their journey. So, we don't just have competitors, but we also have lifestyle and transformation athletes too, which is really cool. So that was last weekend. It was the first. It's not going to be the last. So
now, going into the fan questions, these are from all the people of Instagram. We picked out 6 of them that we want to ask you. So we'll do that, and then we'll get to the last question that I ask all the guests. So Sam, do you want to start with one?
I want to start with one that was, it's going to be my fan question. So I want to ask you ladies, do you find it's easier to date bodybuilders, or is it easier to date people who have nothing to do with the fitness industry?
Aisha, you go first.
Wow. Recently, I find that it really doesn't make that much of a difference. As long as the other person understands your lifestyle, supports you, it's going to work out. I've dated people in the fitness industry, and that's who I attract and who I'm attracted to. So because there's just that whole conversation about what does fitness mean to you, it's all out the window. It's just one step that you don't have to go through. But no, I don't find it makes a huge difference, really, to be honest. As long as it depends, it's personal, right? It depends on what you're passionate about. You just have to find somebody that compliments you.
Yeah, I agree. Someone that compliments you is definitely important. I think that the challenging part about dating within the industry is getting away. Very difficult. There's, you can't just run from whatever it is if you're still, if the person is also in the industry versus if the person is not in the industry, then you don't have to worry about it. But coming down,
right, everybody's just so connected, right?
Yeah, like ugh,
yeah,
I know. So
everyone's very connected. This community is so tight that it's
everybody knows everybody.
Business, everybody. Yeah, so it's just like, it comes with the territory, but
that part can 100% be tricky. Now, coming down to personalities, of course, someone within the industry has a little more of an understanding of what you do and why you do it. And like Aisha was saying, you don't have to explain those things. Yeah. But then again, you could have 2 competitors competing at a very high level, and that could be either really good or really not good. And then you could be seeing somebody outside of the industry that absolutely has no freaking idea and doesn't know what it takes, and it's very hard for them to support you, you
Yes.
know. So I just think it comes down to personalities and what is going to compliment you, and it comes down to a person really, really supporting you, and understanding your goals and being just in love with your goals as you are. You know, and if that doesn't happen, whether it's a person inside of the industry or outside of the industry, you gotta like let it go and like keep going to the top, even if it's by yourself. So
Yep.
All right.
All
So
right.
I got a tough one for both of you. And I'm excited to hear your answer to this because the three people involved with this next question are all people that I've interviewed, and I'm excited to hear. So the question is, F, marry, kill,
Oh my god.
Seth Feroci, Fuad Abiat, or Guy Cisternino?
wait, okay, hold on. Who? One more time.
Seth Feroci,
Seth Perosi.
Feroci with an F.
Perosi. Okay, hold on. I have to. Some of these people I'm unfamiliar with. Seth Perosi. Okay.
Other ones?
Three,
Fuad?
6, yes. Okay, Seth, got it.
Fuad Abiad. You don't know who any of these people are?
I know guys.
Fuad, but who's
I know
the other?
guys.
Who are the other ones? I didn't catch.
Windsor,
Yeah,
Canada.
Guy.
Okay. Guy.
And then Guy Cisternino.
Oh my god.
Come on.
I'm marrying the Canadian.
Fuad.
No, wait, Fuad's Canadian too? Oh,
I like
he
Fuad. I'm a
is.
fan of Fuad.
And he owns his own business, so there you go.
No, okay, no. I'm marrying Seth.
Okay.
I'm fucking Guy.
Oh.
And I'm killing Fuad. Wait, was I allowed to use the F word?
Yeah, you're fine.
Yeah, you're
Okay.
good.
Oops.
All right,
Aisha.
Aisha, what are you doing?
Your turn.
I would marry Fuad. Can I do two things? Kill the other two, marry Fuad. Put all my eggs in one basket for Fuad.
No, that's not the rule. That's not the rule.
You gotta pick
Wow.
one.
Why?
The people want to hear it.
So yeah, marry Fuad. I don't know. Seth, I don't really know much. I guess I'll kill Seth.
Oh wow, that hurt.
And then, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and then there's just one left.
Yep. So then that answers that one.
Man, Guy's getting a lot of love.
Yeah.
No, because mine would be opposite. I'd probably kill Guy.
You kill Guy?
I kill Guy. I'll marry Fuad. And that leaves, yeah.
Marry Fuad, right? Fuad's a great
Yeah,
guy.
I'd marry Fuad. I'm sure he'd be a great husband. He has his own business. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my! I was not
He has
expecting that
such a good
question.
personality.
I was not expecting that
Yeah.
question.
All right. So
Can we
what
put, like,
another
Aquaman
fan?
in the mix? Like
Aquaman.
Jason Momoa, like do they all have to be bodybuilders? I just told you I can get along with non-bodybuilders.
It's true. That is true. So another fan question we do have is going to be, best or worst pickup line in the gym?
Like that you used or people have used on you.
Have you guys used one?
Yeah,
I can't remember any.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't exactly say it was a pickup line. No, let's see. Okay, wait. Dang it. What do you think? I have to like go back into my mental Rolodex because they're all awful. They're all so bad.
Trying to think if I have.
don't really have any good ones, but the one that
There
stands
was
out.
one that came into my DMs though. Does that count?
Oh,
Because nobody
what
really.
was it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, they'll. It was like, "Are you married?" And then I was like, "No." And then I think they said like, "I'll be your first husband" or something. That was pretty bad.
Yeah.
They get so ballsy in those DMs, I
don't
swear.
know. I don't remember any of them.
So ballsy. One guy was like, he looked at me. I was like super sweaty. He goes, "Baby, how'd you get your baby hairs to lay so flat?"
Oh no!
My baby hairs. I was like, I just sweat. Like, I don't know. Not that complicated.
At the gym.
At the gym.
At
I
the
was
gym.
doing a rose.
He
I
was.
was doing a rose. Yeah, and he goes,
Oh,
"Baby."
wow.
He goes, "Baby, how do you get your baby hairs to lay so flat?"
That one
I was
freaking
like,
wins.
Yeah.
What did you say back to that?
I was like, I don't know. I just sweat. Like,
And he just walked away.
yeah, he just walked away.
Freaking weirdos.
Usually I have my headphones in, so I think like I pretend to be deaf sometimes. Like, so I feel like I don't get much anybody approaching me because I'll literally wear like my headphones. They're blasting. I don't know what's happening around me. So
See, I try and do that.
It doesn't work.
No, so people will still like wave me down and be like, I'm like, and they'll still be like,
and I'm like, no.
No, and people, I'm like, yes, and then yeah.
Well, I don't know if that would interrupt you, Sam, because seeing your videos on Instagram, you're climbing on all the machines, you're hanging down from the cable, doing Spider-Man.
I have a problem. Yeah. If there's something to climb, I just am a spaz. I'm a spaz. Thankfully, I have a private gym that I work at, so I can do all the weird stuff that I do. Because the owners are like, do you guys upset that I'm climbing on top of all of your equipment? They're like, no, just make sure you don't have any of the clients do it. I'm like, oh, of course not.
All right. This one is for Aisha. When will you return to the stage, and will it be in a new category?
Yeah, probably sometime next year. And I've been debating. I haven't really said this out publicly, but this will probably be the first time. But I'm debating whether you're going back into bikini or not. Just because I like the direction that it's been taking, and probably something that I fit into. Yeah, I think I'm falling back in love with it. So perhaps.
Sam, you're making your return next year, right?
Yeah, I'm coming back. And this is my first time saying it out loud because everybody's like, I'm like, oh, I'm not coming back. I'm done. It's been like 3 years. Yeah, probably next year I'll make it come back into bikini. Yeah. Yes. So
it's just evolved so much that, like, I don't know. I think it's beautiful.
Towards the end for me, I kind of I was doing bikini and then I got too big. And then so I jumped into figure and I thought I was going to love figure and I didn't because they told me I was too small. And they're like, oh, I need to gain more size. I'm like, I like this look. So I attempted to go back to bikini, but didn't really give myself any downtime. And I was way too big to be jumping back in bikini. But now that I think the 3 years have passed, I'm ready for it.
Nice.
Yeah. We'll see though. I don't want to say that it's like a definite decision that I've made. But yeah, we'll see.
Sam, do you have another question that you want to ask?
I feel like the questions that are left, they already been. Oh yeah. So what were the lowest calories you have ever ate during a prep?
I don't know. I don't tend to count calories, but I can tell you my meals were like maybe 4 ounces of fish with like vegetables and some cashews, like 1 tablespoon of peanut butter. That's probably the lowest I've gone.
Yeah.
And that was probably 1 week out, of a show.
Was that for every meal or?
No. But it would be like 4 ounces of meat with, like 1/4 cup of rice, which is like 2 spoons, like 2 bites of rice. and like some nuts, some vegetables, but I haven't dropped that low. It's just to get my legs in condition. I find that's the hardest part. My upper body comes in like this, but my legs, it takes a lot of time.
What
about you?
Probably so going into Chicago Pro, by surprise, we probably dropped down to like 1,300 calories for 7 days. It was temporary, so
yeah,
very, very short-lived. Anything drastic that we do is short-lived.
Was that like 2 weeks out, or was that like your last
7 days out.
Oh, 7 days out. Oh, I thought you were saying it was for 7 days. Got it.
It was like 100 carbs and 25 grams of fat. Oof, it was rough.
Yeah.
But again, that's not a normal thing for me at all. So, yeah. Extreme for a short period of time.
Yeah. So the last question I have for the both of you is a question that I ask all my guests on the show. And it's for people like me who aren't the most popular in school, and it's for people that are stuck in life right now and they have a big goal in mind that they want to achieve. So what is one piece of advice that you can give all these people right here, right now, to go out and stop waiting for things to happen and go out and like chase their goal?
Yeah. So, don't be scared. And it doesn't matter what people think about you. You know, they don't walk in your shoes and they don't live your life and they don't know your story. And I know that it's scared to do the things sometimes that you want to do because there's always that fear of the unknown. But sometimes you just got to say, F it, and you have to go for it when you have nothing to lose. And I know high school is a really, really hard place and it's a really scary place, but look at all the things you're doing. You're already ahead of the game. Your coach, he's one of the best in the world. You get to interview some of the top athletes in the world. And just, just don't be scared. Don't be scared to go after your goals and do the things that you want to do, even if it scares you. One of the things that I promised myself after my brother died was that I'm never going to die with one regret. I'm going to go after everything that I want. Because the legacy that I leave behind, I want it to be a strong one, and I want to be proud, and I want people to be proud of me. And the only way that I'm going to do that is if I put those fears aside and I just go after it. So that's my biggest piece of advice, is for people to just go after what you want. And you have to ignore the naysayers and you have to ignore the white noise. And don't let them stop you. So that's it.
Love that.
Yeah. Beautiful. For me, I would say, there's that saying, which I actually hate. If it's meant to be, it'll be. No, you make it happen. You gotta make it. You gotta make it happen. And it's not if it's meant to. It's a passive way of looking at things. You have to go out there and make it meant to be. Nothing is going to be handed to you. You have to work for it, and you have to look at things as, these are the cards that I was given. These are the hands that I was dealt. And don't compare yourself to other people, putting yourself down. Don't say, oh, well, they had it easier. No, it doesn't matter. Just stay in your lane, stay focused, and go after everything you want. Even if there's obstacles, it's during those obstacles that you're going to grow and learn the most. Yes, it's hard now, but oh my God, later on, everything just falls, like everything makes sense at the end. You may not see it now, but then later, everything just makes sense. Like, this is why this happened. So I do believe in there's a reason for everything, but not if it's meant to be, it'll be. You have to make it happen.
Yeah.
Definitely agree.
Awesome.
Yeah.
You know, the cool kids, they aren't always the ones that are still cool after high school.
It's true.
It's usually the
Yeah.
kids that are the ones a little more secluded, a little quiet, maybe doing their own things. Maybe the ones that are bullied are the ones that turn out on top. So, you know,
Yeah.
never ever doubt yourself or think that you can't do something because of, you know, your social status in school. And don't let that bother you. You know what I mean? And I know it's easier said than done, but you're already ahead of the game with all of the things you're doing and the people that you're meeting, and um, what you're doing now is just going to open up more opportunities for you as you grow older. And that's amazing. And just always believe in yourself and never doubt yourself. And on those days that are the hardest, those are when you have to believe in yourself the most and push yourself the most, and just don't give up. Don't give up on the job, and don't give up on your hopes and dreams.
Awesome. Yeah, I come to find that like a lot of the people I've talked to, they say that, and they say like the high school, it's not gonna really matter about like your social status, and that's true. Like I'm not the cool kid, I'm not the popular kid in school. I'm kind of like more left alone. People often seem to ignore me, but I love doing what I'm doing now, the podcast and everything, and I love doing all this. And I want to say thank you to both of you for deciding to do this podcast. Terrence was absolutely right about the both of you. You're both such a delight to have on. And
Yes.
I just loved hearing your story. I would love to have you back on. I know that today we had a rough start with all the technical difficulties that I had, but I hope you enjoyed doing this podcast.
Yes. And I want to thank you ladies as well.
Definitely.
I'm so thankful that Will and I started doing this, and we get to see all the amazing people, because I would not be able to see your guys' personalities without doing these podcasts. And I think both of you ladies are beautiful inside and out. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. That was
Thank
such
you.
a pleasure being on. And Terrence is amazing at what he does. You're in good hands. He's such a great person to the sport. You know, he honestly has the best in heart for everybody. So I'm so happy that you're with him.
Well, thank you once again for doing this. I hope I didn't take up too much of your day. And thanks
No.
again.
Not at all. Thank you. Thank
Yep.
you. And happy to help
Thank you.
anytime.
Awesome.
Yeah, let us know.
Of course.
All right.
All right,
All right.
ladies.
Take care.
Awesome.